Okay. Hi, Sarah. I hope you can hear me. All right. These are my notes, basically. So you can see that they're bound here, and there's the cover page that's plastic, and there's a back page thanks to Officeworks, and it shouldn't cost you more than a couple of dollars. And then I've stuck sticky tabs. Can you see that? So okay, because I made mine really rushed, so I didn't get to make really detailed study tabs, but generally they should have stuff like, homicide, defenses, and I put intent because intent is an important element for all the crimes, all the offenses, and consent, reasonable belief, voluntariness, causation. These are all elements that we have to talk about particularly because they're so, they're such a big part. So I particularly singled them out. You know what I mean? Okay, so basically, I sorted out my entire notes they're a table format. And so basically, this is just offenses against a person. So OAPs, offenses is the first page. All right, and what I do is I structure it by offense. So the first offense that we look at is Section 15, intentionally causing serious injury in circumstances of gross violence. And I'm not sure if the course has changed, so I'm not sure if you guys are still doing the same defenses as we are, but this is just the general structure. So the first element that we have to prove is that victim suffered a serious injury. All right, and then under that I have the dot points. So this is the legislation. What injury means, what serious injury means, blah 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 blah. And then this is actus reus and mens rea. So first I look at actus reus, and then that's the first element. That's the fourth element. But if we go to the next page, right, number 2, the accused caused victims serious injury, so that's causation. And then because I have a whole section dedicated to causation, where is it? Here. I go straight there, all right? But let's not go there just yet because it might get a bit confusing. All right, so once I prove that, when I'm answering the questions in the exam, I will answer it like this. So I have that heading. I'll write causation, and then I'll go through this and I'll see if the facts of the case prove causation. Then I'll go to the third element and I'll write on my exam paper. I'll write caused in circumstances of gross violence, and then I'll prove it. And this is all the legislation, so I'll see if according to the legislation that serious gross violence has been found, blah blah blah, and that's the third element, remember? So now we go to mens rea, fourth element, and it's intent. So I usually just write intent or intention, and then we'll see if there's criminal intent. And then if all the elements are proven, then I conclude yes, intentionally causing serious injury in circumstances of gross violence has been proven, blah blah blah. Then next one. Oh wait, sorry, there's a fifth element. The accused acted without lawful justification and excuse. And again, that's my heading I use, and then I'll just write a sentence, okay? Then I go to my next offense. Okay, so Section 15, recklessly causing serious injury in circumstances of gross violence. This is, because this one's shorter, it's more clear. You can see first element, second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element, and I just go through them when you're in the exam and prove all of them, okay, and then make a conclusion. And we just go, okay, here is a good example. So with the previous 2 offenses I just showed you, there's no cases that are relevant, okay? So you can see they're all just legislation-related stuff, you see? It's all just legislation in the dot points under each subheading. But if I go to intentionally causing serious injury, Section 16, there's usually there's the elements here, first element, second element, third element, fourth element. Yeah, that's it. So, but you can see under second element, which is causation, A caused victim serious injury, we have to consider if the accused actions are a substantial or significant cause of the serious injury. All right, and here there's a case. So do you see how I don't talk about the case as independently? I don't talk about the case on its own as a independent thing. I talk about it based on how it helps us interpret the legislation. You understand? So under here I say accused caused v serious injury, and then the common law is injury does not need to have been caused by the accused personally assaulting the complainant. This element will be satisfied even if she or he caused the injury indirectly. So indirect injury can satisfy this element. And then in brackets, I've written R and Salisbury, because that's the case from which we've gotten this common law, this precedent, okay? And that's all I've written for R and Salisbury. So when it comes to the exam, if I get a problem where the accused is potentially guilty of intentionally causing serious injury, I'll go through all the elements, okay? So my first heading, first I'll say the accused may potentially be guilty for intentionally causing serious injury. And then underneath that, I'll have the heading, serious injury. And then again, we go to the legislation. And I've already written the legislation up above, so I just refer back to where I've written it here. You know, see how I've written see above? Yeah, because I've already written it for the other serious injury offences. And there's no point in me writing the legislation all over again. I've already got it here. So I go through that and see if serious injury is found. Okay, if it's found, then I say, yes, serious injury has been proven. Then I go to the second element, causation. And this is where I have to prove. And if the exam question involves an indirect injury, then I'll go through and I'll say, indirect injury can satisfy causation, and in brackets, I'll write R and Salisbury. And that's all you need to know, okay? And then I'll go to the third element, which is intention. And again, we'll go to the legislation, which I've already written in the previous section. Then I'll go to, and I'll say, oh, yes, intention has been proven. Then I'll go to the fourth element, which is the accused acted without lawful justification or excuse. And then, you know, I'll say, yes, he did, or no, he didn't. And then write a conclusion about whether the accused is guilty of this crime, all right? So basically, I just did that for all of my offenses, okay? So this is just the other offenses. I want to show you this here, actually. So the next offense I go to is recklessly causing serious injury. Now, this is a reckless offense. So under mens rea, all right, it's recklessness, not intent, which is what the previous cases were talking about. Okay, see, intention? This is recklessness. And so under recklessness, I've written, and that's what the legislation says, that the accused must have known or the victim was likely to be seriously injured by their actions. And this is under mens rea. And look, I've got all the case law here. Do you see? Here. So the dot point is, the accused was aware that the acts could probably result in victim being seriously injured but proceeded nonetheless. And that is Crabb. So in the exam, if you're discussing this offense, okay, you need to say, you under the third element. So after you've gone through serious injury and causation, then you go to the third element and you'd say that the accused in the situation, right, was aware that the acts could probably result in V being seriously injured but proceeded nonetheless. And then in brackets you write Crabb, okay? So that's how you basically prove this element. And then, you know, these other case laws might be relevant. So this definition applies to all Victorian offences involving recklessness, and that is the common law that we gain from Campbell. Then we say probable is equals. What does probable mean? It means likely to happen. Probable, not possible. So that's, again, case law that we get from Crabb. Okay, notice that I haven't written anything about what happened in Crabb, what are the facts, who did what, who was accused of what, nothing. It's just what the case law that we get from each of the cases, okay? And then I get that, I do that for all of the for all the offenses that we could be potentially tested on. And notice, like, I don't repeat stuff, okay? So for injury, all right, I just say see above, because I've already written the legislation for the first offense causing injury, which is V suffered serious injury, and I've already written the legislation once. And so if there's ever like overlap, as in if there's ever offenses which have like the same elements, such as V was injured, then I just say refer to blah 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 blah, because otherwise you keep writing the same legislation over and over again, and there's no need, and you're just wasting space and wasting time. Okay, so you know, this is causation. Again, we can see the common law, and then the case name from which we get the common law in brackets. And that is literally my entire case note, okay? So I just keep under, again, you know, I go each element, and then underneath each element I have the case law that is relevant. See, P must establish first that the accused owed victim a duty of care, and that's from NIDM. Only a legal duty is relevant, so that's from TAC, all right? See, lavender. That's the case that you that's the case note that you did, right? So, you know, NIDM, blah 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 blah. All right, case law. Fagan. All right, Zanka, Fagan. And we just go through everything like that. Yep. So here, remember, here are the offences that I've written in the text box. This is all the actus reus elements. Here is all the mens rea elements I've written. Okay? So under each element, I've written if there's any relevant legislation, I write the legislation, as well as all the common laws, so stuff like the objective test. You know? Subjective test. Alright, and those are all offences against the person. Next, we have sexual offences. And notice on the side, I've got my tab, sexual. So that everything that's relevant to sexual offences, I can flip right here. And here's the legislation. And because for sexual offences, I structured it a bit differently because sexual offences, a lot of them is relevant to definitions. And a lot of this legislation is relevant to all the offences. So I